This is the MSPoweruser Podcast, the podcast for the Microsoft enthusiast and power user. We discuss the latest news from MSPoweruser.com about Microsoft, Windows, Surface, Xbox, HoloLens, mobile, all that fun stuff. My name is Vernon E. L. Smith, and I'm joined as usual by Andy Bennett. Andy, how you doing, man?
Well, I'm doing pretty great. This week has been a really slow one, but it's been a really nice one, and we'll talk a little about some of the stuff I've managed to pick up this week a little bit later. But it's just been nice, enjoying the final days of summer. How about you?
It's been a busy week. Still doing some house shopping, and things are progressing. Had a kind of another milestone yesterday, and actually today, and we'll just see how this goes. More to share later, I'm sure. And the grandparents have been here visiting. My wife's grandparents have been here for a few days, so that's been nice. She took the last couple of days off of work, and I'm taking part of next week off from work for a different reason. So, I guess there we go. I guess that's a segue. FYI, folks, be sure to follow MSPoweruser.com for the latest news about Ignite. Now, I don't really know how much I'm going to be able to share about Ignite. There will be new stuff shared. We'll definitely be keeping you informed about the latest news that is shared there. But I'm going to do my best to get you guys all the goods about what's going down in Atlanta in just a few days here.
Yeah, that's going to be a real fun time, and I wish I could join you there, but alas, I was not given the fancy press ticket.
Well, I don't know if it's... Yeah, I just... somebody had to go, I guess, and I was available, so I would... It'll be fun. It'll be fun, but it'll be work, and that's fine. I want to get you... share as much as I can. People that know me know that I don't do this that often, or ever, so... I'm a noob at this, but...
Maybe they'll be able to ship you off to Build next year. That'll be fun.
You know, that probably is one of the... If I had to go to one a year, I think it would be Build, and I think someone should go. And as MS Power User continues to grow and do well, which we're grateful for, perhaps we'll get some bigger press invites and all that. So that'd be pretty cool.
Well, actually, I'm pretty sure we've gotten some invites, but shh.
Well,
anyways, moving on to topics that we can speak about with 100% certainty. I managed to pick up a Surface RT, the original.
Nice.
Yeah. Got it for like $100. I got it for like $100 on eBay with the type cover too, and everything in perfect condition.
Wow. So I'll preface this a little bit in case some people may not quite remember this. This is what Microsoft announced the Surface with, this device, and it was fantastic. And I mean, especially the announcement, the reveal was so cool. And there were very, very few leaks about this. None that I believed. This was a shock to me. And I remember the video that they used to release, to show this off was just fantastic. Just awesome, cool, angular, like space type look to it. And then, of course, the kickstand was amazing. The music that they used with this video reveal was so cool. And this device at the time was really, really revolutionary. And now, of course, we're up to the Surface Pro 4. We have the Surface Book. And
we have Surface clones.
Yeah, and that is
it's made such a mark that all of a sudden it is now an industry standard.
That is what Microsoft wanted. They wanted people to have a good touch and portable experience with Windows 8 and
a device so good. Obviously. A device so good that you want to make a knockoff.
Yeah. So, but this is the one that started it all. And when we look back at it, some might think that it pales in specs, but really, so many of the things that we have now with Surface are much more than we need anyway. So, Andy, tell us about your particular device.
Right.
First of all, which model is it?
It's just the regular old Surface RT. It's got, I think this is the one with 32 gigs of storage. And
That's
it's
the one I had. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a really nice one. I've got a dark titanium, I think they call it, type cover 2. So not the original type cover, but like I'm not going to complain, as type cover 2 is this fantastic looking backlit keyboard, and there's no way you can complain about that, you know?
For sure.
Yeah.
And one of the first, when it first came out, they really talked about the touch cover, which of course had, keys on it, and they were raised a little bit, but that basically you would just tap them. It was like a touch display, kind of, not a display, but, and then they realized
it's kind of like what the yoga book is going for now, isn't it?
Yeah, they have a very odd newer style. That was different than the touch cover, but still, it's very, very, very nice. But they wanted people wanted a little bit more key travel, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
I get that.
I don't have the touch cover, but I'm kind of glad I don't, because I don't think it would be something I'd use very much.
Yeah, that's true. It was not as good. I think once people got used to it, it was just fine. It is a little bit thinner than the type cover, which has its benefits, but really the whole thing is rather thin anyway. Andy, was it, I mean, you've seen these, and obviously, but when you got it, was it surprising to you in any way, like the feel or the look or the weight of it?
It actually did kind of surprise me. Like, I was expecting something significantly, I don't know how to put it exactly, but much less grand, I guess, for something I picked up for $100 on eBay.
Okay.
And I got this, in almost brand new condition, no scratches, no marks, just a little dust. So that alone impressed me, and then the look of the device itself is pretty stunning. It's got that Windows logo on the back flap, which you can only really see in the right lighting, but once you do, it just looks nice. The screen is incredibly clear. When you're holding it in tablet form, it just looks crystal clear. It's almost like maybe holding a TV up to your face or something, because it's just so much larger than any tablet I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. It's got so many uses. Like, I can just pick that thing up in the morning, hit the news app, and all of a sudden it's like holding a newspaper right there.
That is one of the cool things I liked about it, using it in tablet mode. And of course, it's 16:9, so it is, it's kind of,
yeah.
I don't want to say it's odd holding it vertically, but it is.
Holding it vertically, it's less odd because of the aspect ratio, much more odd because of the size. It's like I'm holding the Mona Lisa to my face, and it's like, not sure about this.
And I always thought that it felt dense.
It just seems absurd holding it that way. Like, it's fine in use, but then you realize the size of what you're holding, and it's like, whoa, what?
But I think holding it vertically, you have less hand fatigue on it, because I guess there's less leverage on it. Your fulcrum is further back, and so you have you can hold it for longer that way, despite its weight. It isn't heavy, but it's dense, and it feels very solid. I mean, you could
it feels
crack someone across the head with it if they intrude.
I feel like
home.
that would still break the device, so I wouldn't try it. But you could still probably knock someone out with it.
Yeah,
it's got that nice solid metal back.
Mm-hmm. And the kickstand, the position of the kickstand is just one single position, aside from closed on this one. And
do later Surface devices have more positions?
Yes, the Surface 2, the Surface 2 RT had 2 positions. The Surface, I did not remember what the Surface, I don't remember. The Surface 3 had 3 positions. Surface 4 Pro, I'm certain, has like infinite positions, but I do not remember if the Surface Pro 3 has, if that's just 3 positions or the infinite.
I will say that I like the just easy flip out kickstand there. But anyways, moving on to some of the other stuff I picked up with it, I also got a much more recent device, the Microsoft Designer Bluetooth mouse. And I gotta say, I also love that thing. I've been using it with the RT and using it to actually get some work done, which the RT is still surprisingly productive. Even after 4 years, I'm still able to do work on it.
And
In
that's
fact,
incredible.
I filled out this podcast's show notes on the RT. I just had Internet Explorer open, which it's really unstable until you enable some of the privacy tracker settings, which block trackers and whatnot, and in some cases even some advertisements, so that it's got less of a load on it. But once you do that, it's surprisingly stable for Internet Explorer. And from there, you just simply are able to go about your regular browsing. So I was, pulling up sites in IE and then getting them put into OneNote, which is OneNote 2013. And it was doing all this with the magic of the designer Bluetooth mouse, which is this really nice feeling mouse from Microsoft, and it's not really particularly fancy. I mean, you've got 2 buttons, you got a scroll wheel that can middle click. You're not going to get something with extra buttons like the Sculpt mouse does, which Vernon got. And it's really just more of a form factor thing that makes it special. It's very kind of laid down. It's not very thick at all. It's meant to be portable, easy to carry around. It's just overall way thinner than any other mouse I've had.
Yeah, it is very thin, but I think that adds to the designer look of it, that it's very functional, works just fine, obviously.
Yeah,
and
it's got both function and looks, and it feels pretty good in my hands. I mean, maybe there's someone out there who prefers a form-fitting mouse or whatever you'd call them, but this one is really nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, at work I use the Sculpt ergonomic mouse, which it comes with paired with the Sculpt keyboard with a separate keypad, which is kind of nice. You can use that with your left hand if you need to move it around. But the Sculpt ergonomic mouse is that like baseball type one that's a lot bigger and higher, and a good spot for your thumb, and that's pretty good. I use that at work, and I'm happy with it. I do have the Arc mouse, which is very nice.
I was considering getting the Arc, but there's a difference of $50 here, which totally changes everything.
Well, there's almost another $10 or $15 difference between the regular Arc mouse and the Arc, the Bluetooth Arc mouse.
Wait, there's a wired Arc mouse, or?
Well, not wired, but there's one with just the regular
a dongle?
RF transceiver, receiver,
okay.
Transmit, whatever, both. And transceiver, is that both transmitter and receiver, I suppose? And
yeah, I getcha.
Sure, that thing. And so that's very nice, but I have the one with the nub, the dongle.
Yeah.
And I was not going to, it's just not worth it for me to use that on a device that only has 1 or 2 USB ports, especially on my VivoTab Note 8, which only has a micro USB port.
Oof.
And so I did recently pick up the Sculpt mouse, not the Sculpt ergonomic, but the Sculpt is straight Bluetooth, and that works wonderfully, obviously, with Bluetooth devices, and I'm very happy with that. And that's kind of a mid, as far as the height of it, it is, kind of midway between that designer mouse and between the Sculpt ergonomic mouse.
Have you ever tried the Surface Wedge mouse? Which I saw that one, but which is literally seems to just be the end of the mouse. You've got the left button and the right button. I don't think it has a scroll wheel much. Maybe it's like a touch sensor. I didn't look into it too much. But
that one actually is. I was looking at that recently. That is relatively inexpensive, and unfortunately, that tells me that maybe it's not that good.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That it looks nice, but then you realize, oh, wait a second. This thing in the picture, it isn't just a wedge that that goes with my whole hand. No, this is literally just the end. And then I look at that and realize how hard it would be to hold, and gave up on it immediately.
It's kind of odd. It doesn't have the wheel, but it does have the scroll touch sensor, which is the same as the Arc mouse. Arc mouse is what I use primarily just for Continuum, and just leave that little transceiver plugged into the Continuum dock. But anyway, wow, we talked a lot more about mice than I expected to, but I think it's valuable.
The mice we talked about are still recent devices that are on the market right now, so I guess that's kind of a Microsoft mouse segment, something like that.
Sure. Well, what else? Tell me a little bit more about your RT so far and what you. Well, I guess I forgot to ask. You said you are using OneNote, the program or the app?
Yeah, I've been using the regular Office program, Office 2013 version of OneNote, to get some work done on there, and it works phenomenally. There's little details from 2016 that I'm missing, but overall, you know what? It's not a big deal. It's still easy to pick up and use. You know it's Office.
Yeah. So I guess I never knew this before. I never asked you this. You're using Office 16 on your home PC now?
I use Office 16 for my PC. I use Office Mobile on my phone, and I use Office 2013 on my RT.
So do you have an Office 365 subscription, just the single or the family?
I've got just a single plan with a nice student discount that never expires, so I'm enjoying that. It's
awesome.
not big, but it's like it's $250 off it every month.
Nice.
Can't complain.
Yeah, that's really good. Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, but you can, obviously, OneNote is free. Even if you don't have Office 365, that is free for anyone on any device. And even if you don't want to load up your computer with that program, you can just use the web version of OneNote, which is actually quite good. Has been quite good for a while and is only improving.
You know, I've been thinking about, talking about app recommendations on here, and I really think that for this week's recommendation, if we can call it that, I'd say go with OneNote. Yeah,
it really does come up quite a bit in many of the podcasts I record. We talk about OneNote a lot. It's just it's a staple, and it's growing. I think even the younger, Andy, folks your age and even younger, be using it. I know my daughter's used it a few different.
Yeah, it's become a staple everywhere. I mean, I've seen it used in education. I've seen it used by people who just want to have a list of reminders, for example, or just want to have information organized. I mean, when I was in school, I used OneNote regularly to have, I'd put notes in there. I mean, it's exactly what's in the name. Would get all my information organized, and it was very helpful then, very helpful now. And it's a program you can get on literally any device. Microsoft is a universal software company, as I'll call them, and that is their universal software. This is on the web, this is on Windows, this is on iOS, this is on Android, this is on Mac, I'm pretty sure it's even on Linux. If it doesn't have a native client, you have the web version again.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is a universal service, and it is fantastic.
Yes.
And so I think now we should move on to actual news.
Last question, Andy. Has anyone in your family stolen, they commandeered your Surface RT yet?
No, not yet. I keep that thing locked away.
Okay, because that's something that's happened with my wife. Initially was like, "Why'd you get that?" And every new piece of tech that I get, what's the point of that? You already have enough. And then before I know it, she's using it for something, and that's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got some news to cover. Windows Insider. We'll start off with that. If you're listening to this show and you've made it this far into this episode, thanks, and you're probably an insider. So, new build for the fast ring, 14931 is the build number. There is no mobile build with this, which is interesting.
Yeah, they said they're looking at telemetry and self-host data and whatnot for mobile, and there's bugs and issues and whatnot, so probably going to have to wait till like next week or maybe even a week after.
But we're really not missing out too much. There's basically one specific single new feature, native support for USB audio 2.0 in the big Windows version.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are several app updates included with this build as well, which I think some of these even rolled out to people on the previous build, Insider build, right before release, which is not too big a deal, I guess. But this is stuff like Feedback Hub now has a dark mode. Maps now follows your system-wide choice of light/dark mode. And you can send SMS from the Skype preview, which is something we talked about last week, I think, for mobile.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just more expansion of light/dark theme, which, real nice.
Yes, absolutely. We like that.
Yeah, I like using dark theme in the night, like I've said before, and light. I like using light mode in day, although I think some apps just have a little bit too much white in them, even during the daytime.
Well, since I've been using Windows Phone for 6 years or whatever this has been, almost 6 years. That's basically when dark mode seemed to happen more. Like it
Yeah, dark
iOS
mode was like a day one thing on Windows Phone, though, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
yeah,
just the standard OS was obviously
yeah.
dark mode. You could go light mode too,
so from day one, apps were already built around that, as opposed to now where they're adding it in as a feature for desktop, and apps individually have to update for it.
Yeah. So native apps were all dark mode, or you could switch them, obviously. But as people began to learn the Metro UI language with Windows Phone, they just chose to keep it dark, or the option, and that was. But it took a little while for that to become adopted. But and it's I think it's spread. That's one great thing about Windows Phone is that part has spread to throughout Windows, obviously.
Yep.
But to other OSs as well.
Even if you've never used Windows Phone, odds are that if you're using Windows 10, you've benefited from some of the things that debuted in Windows Phone.
Tremendously.
Yeah.
And actually, if you're using the camera shortcut button on your Android or iOS device, that came from Windows Phone too. Well, plenty of things did, but I'm not gonna go down that road.
Everyone steals from everyone, and everyone fires up their photocopiers.
Yep. All right, so I don't know what this next app is here.
Oh, I actually do, as I used it. All right. So, Kodi has come to the Windows Store for Windows 10 PCs, and it's come here through Project Centennial, which allows developers to submit their applications that are Win32 applications to the Windows Store. Now, Kodi is a media center. If you want to use your PC as a media center, maybe have HDMI output to a TV or just a larger monitor or whatever you have, or even just want to use it on your regular monitor to display some movies or music or whatever you want to get through the add-ons for it, it is fantastic. I don't use it too much anymore, although previously I was a pretty heavy user of it. It's an excellent way to organize and watch movies, and it's just a good app all around. That's all I can really say there, but yeah, now it's in the Windows Store, and while I don't know if it takes advantage of any native Windows 10 features, as I can't really see any areas for it to, Microsoft reached out to Kodi to make this happen. They originally didn't know if they could bring the app to the Windows Store, because they were originally thinking, oh boy, we're going to have to totally rebuild from the ground up or something to port it to the Universal platform. Well, no, that's not the case. While Microsoft was developing the desktop app converter, they reached out to Kodi, just like they reached out to a variety of other developers, to bring it to the store. So Microsoft showed them the results of just using the desktop app converter, and that certainly impressed them. And end of the story, it's in the store.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, next item here, and next item being that the AT&T Lumia 950 picks up Double Tap to Wake in a new update.
Ditto.
Okay. Have we not been DTTWing or jonesing for this for a while now? Yes, we have been. If I can answer my own question, rhetorical question. This is ridiculous. It's great that we finally have it. I've been using it. I should just mention this. If you have a Windows Phone device and you want to get the latest version, whatever that is not carrier-based, you don't want to wait for the carrier, you can use the Windows Device Recovery Tool. And many people know this, but just reminding everyone, you can plug your device in there and see if there's something else you can upgrade if you want to. And it's basically like flashing it, just like the olden days of Android, or I guess the current days of Android as well. So that is a great tool, and that is how I had the Didawa ahead of the AT&T version of it. Now everyone with AT&T 950 gets that coming up. It is pushed to them.
Well, that's nice. It's kind of weird how it's still rolling out to different carriers and devices, but hey, whatever. The update also fixes a bunch of bugs, which are mostly just stability things, so that's nice too.
I should mention too that the Lumia 950 is now $300 on AT&T, which is exactly half price of what it was when it first released on AT&T less than a year ago.
Holy crap.
So that is disappointing for people that put the value of something, they value something based off of the monetary price. But if you are looking for a good Windows phone, and you're not going to wait until next summer probably for the so-called Surface phone, or I believe it'll be a Surface Mobile, pick this thing up if you're on AT&T and you want a Windows phone, a good one, a newer one, whatever. $300, certainly no, whatever. It's a good phone at a good price.
Yeah, that sounds like a good price. If I had the $300 to spare and AT&T was any good in this area, I might actually get it there. But alas, I'm just gonna have to wait on Amazon and eBay.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was waiting for you to go back and do your, since I jumped ahead. That's my fault for not letting you know, but I jumped ahead to
it's my fault for zoning out for a minute.
Forth. It's all good.
So Microsoft is finally removing the Get Windows 10 app from Windows 7 and 8.1 PCs, which is a very late move. This thing's been useless since July 29th. It has done literally nothing. They are just removing the files in an update. That's it.
And to be fair, I'm fine with them waiting a little bit. Relatively low priority. That's fine. They had other things to work on, like Windows 10, and that's or the update, I mean. But
I think it was a case where they just weren't even going to remove it originally, but then they decided, you know what, heck, we can get rid of the files and save some guy 50 megabytes.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, but it's quasi newsworthy, and I don't mind hearing about this.
Although actually, now that I think about it, it might actually also remove any pre-cached Windows 10 download files if that was, because it auto-downloaded in the background for some people. So that's like up to 4 gigs of data that might be freed up for someone. So there's a point, I guess.
Yeah. Well, moving forward into mobile, of course, which I love, Microsoft released a new phone. And no, of course not. It's not the Surface phone. We keep hearing about that. We don't know any true, honest. I haven't seen any real rumors or renders, leaks of this Surface phone that I believe yet. But I am certain that they released this device called the Nokia 216. It's not a Lumia. The Nokia 216 is a feature phone. It is a cute little bugger. I'll give it that. It's targeting the market in India. The price that I saw somewhere was $34, and it looks like a steal at that price. Tiny little thing, 3 different colors: black, white, and blue, I suppose, baby blue. 2.5-inch display. It supports SD card up to 32 gig. It has 16 megabytes of RAM. Did you see this, Andy?
Yeah. It's probably the most powerful phone of 1995.
Well, to be honest,
I kid, but really though, this is a device meant for a developing market, so I can't bash it too much.
Yeah. But this is actually something that I would consider getting for my grandparents.
Oh, yeah.
Just a device. I mean, the keys are a little bit small for that. The screen's a little bit small for that.
The last Nokia feature phone release was like the Nokia 222, I think. And I was considering getting my dad that.
Mm-hmm. This thing is pretty cool. A whopping 10,020 milliamp hour battery, which is actually That isn't that bad.
Yeah, that's pretty standard for feature phones. They last for weeks.
Yeah, standby time is 24 days. So, but one cool little feature in here that I thought was interesting. Well, for one, it has a flashlight, a torch built in, which is good. It does have it has two cameras, front and rear facing. They're both very low megapixel, resolution, and that's expected. But the front facing sensor does have a flash with it, it's nice. Also, it does have something called peer-to-peer, something called Bluetooth SLAM. So that would be a way to share peer-to-peer. I don't know if it's especially wonderful. I can't imagine it's mind-blowing, but it's a way to share via Bluetooth, and the term kind of tells me that you might tap the phones together, but there's no mention of NFC in this device, so it's probably not the case. You probably still need to connect like you would normally over Bluetooth.
Again, though, this is a device for developing markets, and I gotta say, it's kind of neat to see some of the feature phones that go into these markets, because aside from the fact that I feel a little nostalgic for my little generic Verizon device, these are starting to look really good. Like where was this stuff 6 years ago in the States?
Well, I think it should still be here now for some people. I think this is still not.
I don't know if the previous Nokia feature phones got stateside releases, although, of course, you can buy anything on Amazon, and I have seen previous models there.
Yeah, I am really tempted to pick this up. I'm not really. There's got to be a way to do it, so I just don't want to pay.
Amazon, eBay.
Yeah,
shouldn't be too bad there.
Mm-hmm. So, but it's a cool little device. One more note is that, well, a couple things. It runs a browser, the Opera Mini browser, at a very slow rate. Actually, the download speed on here for 2G is max data speed download is 236.8 kilobits per second. That is that's your good old, looks like 2G or EGPRS. I forget which one that is anyway. And lastly, you do get one free game per month with this, which is kind of interesting. I don't know how good these games are.
Well, they're old mobile game. Well, not old, but rather they're feature phone mobile games. So I wouldn't expect too much, though. There's some that aren't bad.
Mm-hmm. So this is quite interesting in a "aw, it's so cute" type of way.
Yeah. Just by the way, on update on the Amazon thing, the Nokia 220 is available on Amazon for $80, which I assume a good chunk of that might be import prices, because the Nokia 105 is available for $23.
Yeah, see, I don't want to pay 300% markup on this thing coming over to the States.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just have to self-fund a trip to India for a press event. Maybe they'll give me one.
Maybe you can pick one up for me.
If I went to India, I would get you whatever you wanted, man. Yeah. So, all right, what do we have next here? Money. Microsoft makes money, now
money, my favorite topic.
Yeah. Microsoft makes money, and now they're spending money on the people that back them. Tell us about this thing, Andy.
All right, I kind of expected you to cover this, but as much as I love money, I am not an investor, I'm afraid. But I have the gist of this. All right, so Microsoft is launching a whopping $40 billion buyback scheme for shares of the company, which this amounts to repurchasing around 10% of the company's $440 billion market cap. And this is the second time they've done this. I don't know the date of the last time they did it, but this is the second time. And the first round of this buyback will be complete by the end of this year. And they also announced that it would raise its dividend by 3 cents per share to 39 cents per share for the quarter. Now, why would a company do this? Well, it's simple, I guess, to some, complex to me, but for a normal person to understand this, I guess the way they say it is that this makes companies look more attractive to investors, and it rewards employees who have been paid in shares because it raises the price of the company's shares and makes them more valuable.
Yeah, that's true. You actually covered it really well, Andy.
Oh, good.
Basically, Microsoft is, well, they're reinvesting in themselves, okay, in a way. But by doing that, shareholders and people who kind of value Microsoft, put a value on it, on the shares, feel that, oh, well, this is doing well enough. Microsoft is reinvesting in itself. They're paying out, obviously, they're paying out their shareholders, and it's making those people happy. Aside from just buying the stock from them, they're also paying out higher earnings or dividends, which is great, and it's something that they've been doing for a while. It's an ongoing thing. It's like so many $1 million. No, it's like $500 or $600 million a month that they spend on this in the next few years, buying back stock. And so,
if I told someone I was going to spend $5 billion a month on myself, they'd think I was crazy.
I'm sorry, 5 million, 500 something. But still, it's. I mean, Andy, to you and I, or at least to me, there's not much difference between $1 million and $1 billion. Either one are pretty
it's like,
far out of my range.
I'll take either.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's fantastic. I think it's very cool that they're doing this. And yeah, it's a great big. It's one of those things that it doesn't just happen and then people are done with it. It's just that they announce it, people do make a big deal about it, but then it's an ongoing thing for several years.
Yeah. This is like basically anything involving business. It'll go on for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm. So,
thank you for tuning in to the Bloomberg Power User Podcast.
Yeah, welcome. So the Skype Teams,
something that I actually know about.
Well, I'll just run over it quick, and I haven't read this article, but Skype Teams is gearing up for a release. It's coming out here pretty soon. It's been in development for a while, which is great, and it's nice that they kept it secret for
not just a little while. It's been a solid 18 months.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. So basically, this might replace Skype for Business. We'll see.
We talked about this previously, and it's primarily a Slack competitor, but it seems like this might replace Microsoft Skype for Business offerings, which are getting a little dated.
Mm-hmm. And we actually had the exclusive on this at MSPoweruser.com, so it's nice to see other people pick it up, of course. And it's news. It's pretty cool. And, of course, it's tied in with Office 365. If you are an Office 365 user...
This isn't just regular Office 365, though. Just to clarify, this is for business and enterprise users, not just the home and personal users.
I did not know that. That is
Well, I mean,
it's a good thing for those people, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like anyone who just has Office 365 is going to instantly want an enterprise grade piece of software to use all the time,
Yeah, but is Slack just enterprise? I mean, like, we use it in a businessy.
Well, it's aimed
capacity.
It's aimed at businesses. There's people who use it for unprofessional purposes, but they aren't its target audience whatsoever.
So do you mean non-professional or quite literally using it unprofessionally?
There's both.
Yeah,
but I mean, there's people who, for example, I know a couple of groups of friends who have organized Slack teams just to talk to each other. It's to some people it's just another chat client, although the majority of people aren't going to be setting up Slack teams just to talk to friends.
Well, I do with some of my Windows Phone friends because it's a tighter little community than Twitter, for example.
Yeah.
And it's don't become overwhelmed with.
It's not like your parents are gonna instantly wake up in the morning and go, "Hey, I've got to contact Jenny on Slack," if they don't have a business using it.
Yeah. Well, if it is coming out to regular Office 365 users, I cannot imagine my business, and not that they're particularly abnormal or anything. I don't see my employer really rolling this out. Hey guys, here's a new thing to play around on. It's in beta. Go for it. Now, there are businesses out there that will do this, but this seems surprising, I suppose.
No. I don't think it's really surprising. You get if the current plan have a beta in November, if that goes well, it should be a release as early January, which it's been in development for 18 months, so you're not going to get a low quality first impression. This is something that has been tested and worked on for a long time. They are going to have something that has a really good release.
I guess I'm trying to just imagine the group of people that maybe not enthusiasts, but that are still going to want to do this in a business setting. So maybe I just don't know those people well enough.
Yeah, the way I can see it going down in a business would be, hey, it's new enterprise software from Microsoft about that's aimed at making teams work together better. It's kind of like Slack, but it has X, Y, or Z feature that Slack doesn't have. Let's try it out. And then have a trial run or whatever, and then maybe expand it to the full company if that works out. I feel like I sound like you right now, maybe.
Well, I am a little bit more in contact with that type of thing.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
the role I have, but I, like I said, it just doesn't. The tone just doesn't seem to be that receivable, I suppose, as a beta product. I mean, usually the people in enterprise have to be, I don't want to say coerced or anything like that, but unless they're already enthusiasts, they're not really ready to try something new. And I myself, I mean, yeah, I want to be open-minded about things, and change is almost always good, but it kind of gets in the way of my regular workflow unless I'm excited to try this new thing, which personally I am excited to try this thing. But I know that the time I would spend on this is keeping me away from the other things I need to accomplish. And as long as, if it isn't productive and profitable, I mean, not necessarily in a monetary manner, but
time is money.
Yeah, if it isn't profitable for me to do this, or productive, I probably wouldn't do it at work, but I would love to do it, in my spare time as a hobby manner.
Well, I mean, it's enterprise grade communication software. I don't know how it would have too much of hobby use, but I get what you mean.
Yeah, because I would love to just fiddle around with it and see.
I get you.
With it, so
get you.
All right, so we've dwelled on that a lot. What's going on with Xbox this week, Andy?
Not too much, actually. Well, it's not in the notes. I think I'll just start off with news that some people will enjoy hearing. Call of Duty 3 has hit Xbox One's backwards compatibility. And I'm pretty sure we've mentioned backwards compatibility in a previous episode, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are already familiar with it. But just for a little recap, backwards compatibility on Xbox One is simple. If you own an Xbox 360 game, either digitally or physically, you can play it on the Xbox One once it's available on the backwards compatibility list. There's over 250 titles on there currently. I think this might be the 251st or 2nd. Not 100% sure there, though. And yeah, if you own it digitally, you just simply go up to your My Games and Apps library on the Xbox One, go under Ready to Install, and you'll find it there. If you have a physical copy of the game, you simply put the disc into the Xbox One, and it'll download what it says is an update, which in reality is the entire game, and you'll be able to play it there, same as if you had it digitally, except you'll just have to put the disc in, of course. And so yeah, it's nice. And now Call of Duty 3's on there. So if you didn't get enough World War II shooting when Call of Duty 2 arrived on there, well, friend, you have many hours ahead of you. It's very different. Call of Duty 3 is very different from what you might see with the current status of the franchise, as it's gone from modern warfare to sci-fi warfare. Well, this is the end of its humble... Call of Duty 3 was the end of its humble beginnings back in the trenches of World War II, and was like one of the last times the franchise ever touched that setting, which is a little sad because the rifles were cooler then.
This appeals to me. I really like World War II especially, but also, more historical weaponry, things like that.
There was a time when Call of Duty wasn't just focused on being like an action movie franchise, and it actually did try to have some realism to it. And while I haven't tried Call of Duty 3, I do know that the first handful of games in the World War II setting were way more grounded than some of the stuff you'll see today.
See, I would be totally fine with just a slow-paced, like deliberate mission.
Yeah,
they're all missions, but like,
and then there's the multiplayer, which is much less mission, much more war. Which,
I don't know. Anyway, I don't game, so I'm just speaking from
one of these days,
primarily
one of these
speculation.
days.
When I say I don't game, it doesn't mean I've never gamed. It's just that I don't. So.
One of these days, you will wake up in the morning, you'll walk outside, and you'll find a little Xbox One on your frozen doorstep, looking for a home.
I'm certain
and
that's
you'll
how it
have to
happens.
adopt it.
It'll be frozen at the.
I keep forgetting that you're in Fargo, so yeah, it would actually be frozen.
It would be frozen, yeah. It would be at the Best Buy though. Probably the Best Buy ship to store or pre-order desk, frozen, looking at me with yearning eyes. Come play me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someday.
It's got 4K Blu-ray support.
I haven't bought a disc in years, and that is, I've never bought a Blu-ray. I am fine with that.
My ever-growing collection of DVDs just snarled at you.
Yeah, see, I have DVDs. I've already whittled them back down to a couple hundred. Like I am. Everything is streaming and digital for me, and I really don't have many of those. It's all just stream it or rent it. I do own a few, but never bought a Blu-ray.
The bitrate for a 4K Blu-ray would probably, 4K movie would probably be so insane that odds are you'd want to get the Blu-ray anyways, not just because of an internet cap, but being able to handle that.
Yeah, that's true. That's quite true, I would imagine. So, anyway, didn't think we were going to talk about this, but that's totally fine.
Yeah, it's stuff about the Xbox, and you can actually speak for once, which
yeah.
Yeah, it's nice not being all alone over there in my little corner with the green Xbox lights. So,
hey, last week I asked you about Recore. I said that I heard about it, and I thought that it was a Microsoft conference. What is up with Recore this week?
Well, this week it is getting an update to fix one of the many technical issues the game has. This one is an update that will lower loading times, and when they announced it, they said it'll be out later this week. I don't know if they mean it's just going to have a regular slow rollout. I don't think that's the case because games are usually instantly updated. Excuse me. But it arrived on my console with no fanfare today when I turned it on to play the Master Chief Collection, which is very good, by the way. And it improves the game's loading times. I've yet to try it out because I'm going to be honest here. Recore is a game that does not want me to go back and play it some more. Which, that's a story for another time, I guess. It's just one where you want to go back, it doesn't want you to. So I can't confirm how much faster the loading times are yet, but it's a very welcome update, and I hope that they fix up some of the other technical issues the game has in its final hours, because you can tell when crunch time began at the studio, if you get what I mean. For 7-8 hours, it's almost flawless. You might have a tiny little issue here or there. Then you pass that 9-hour threshold, or however long it takes you to get through it, and you hit a point where it becomes obvious that the studio was told, hey guys, we gotta hurry up now. Yeah, we kind of just threw all of our quality assurance testers out a window. We have only 2-3 months to throw this together. Have fun. And it has a lot of technical problems in there, like parts where the entire game just starts failing to load, where you'll start falling through floors, where it'll just, not do what it's supposed to. And it's definitely infuriating, but I hope that they put out more patches for this because it's exactly what the game needs. So yeah, it's nice. I just hope they do more of that.
Well, it seems like ReCore was more of like a story and more interactive and stuff, right?
Yeah, that's
not
that's
interactive. But like
it's a totally single player action adventure platforming game, which is really nice at times, but it just becomes obvious that they didn't have enough time to realize the goal they wanted, because at a time there's plenty of areas where it feels very finished, which is near the start for the most part. But then you get towards later areas where the first areas are these big open deserts, which some areas are just jam-packed with stuff. The map is split up into like 5 or 6 different segments. The first segment you go through, there is a lot to find. There's plenty of different areas to go from, and while the game doesn't have the best graphical intensity or whatever, you still have this feeling of just wow as you look out over these big deserts and canyons with these ruins of this sci-fi colony there, and it's like, whoa, that looks cool. Then you get later on, and it hits a point where there is literally just 10 to 15 minutes of walking through sand and nothing. And it's just little signs like that say, okay, they ran out of time, budget, or both, combined with technical issues. So it feels like they had to move it along a lot faster. So, yeah, I hope they start fixing things up, because it got pushed along so fast that there's this robot on the box of the game and all the promotional art that isn't even in it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, what's next here? A different story mode game, Killer Instinct. Is this story mode the same, similar to ReCore, or is it way off?
No, totally different genres here. Killer Instinct is a fighting game which Microsoft has been updating through the years. I can't remember when it originally launched, but it was like maybe 2 years ago at the very least. And it's been getting a ton of updates since then. The base game is 100% free to everybody, although you'll have to purchase each character individually or buy a complete collection, like the Definitive Edition, which just came out the other day. And this released alongside a brand new story mode for the game, which is a single-player story mode that anyone can access free. It just happened to launch the same day. And the Definitive Edition is essentially all in the name, I guess. It is everything, every little bit of content released for the game up till now. And if you buy it physically, it also includes a CD with the soundtrack, which is nice both for collectors and people like me who just like listening to CDs and DVDs and any physical disc, because I like having a collection to look at that isn't digital. That's pretty much all the news there, I guess, Not too much Xbox stuff happening this week, although EGX is happening over in the UK, which is Electronic Gaming Expo, I would assume. Though, I mean, it's something where I think it's kind of obvious. I'm not 100% sure there. So there might be an announcement or two coming from that, though I don't think so. So, yeah. That's it, I guess.
Cool.
Well, it's just awkward being alone in the cold at times, but we're at the end.
Yeah. Well, that is about the end. Yeah, listeners, thank you for tuning in again. We are glad to have you listen, and of course, glad to have you be a part of the MSPoweruser family, I suppose. You can follow the site on Twitter at MSPoweruser. Of course, that's when you'll hear the latest of when the episode is available, but even better would be to subscribe to the show with your favorite podcast app. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at VernonEL, and Andy is at FusionFan45. FusionFan45. Wow.
Yep. username that I kind of want to move away from, but everyone knows it, so nah.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. With that, you just gotta talk to me a little bit later. Talk to me offline if you want to transition that out, and I have a couple tips for you. So, all right, that is it. Everyone, have a great week.
Yep.
Bye.